Ah, nostalgia. The feeling that turns average games that you played in your childhood into games praised by Metacritic. Where would a top game list be without Ocarina of Time?
Excuse me?
Mario 64, Super Smash Bros, Halo 1, Crash Bandicoot, Yoshi Cookie.
Excuse me!
Yo, shut up, Red Dead 2. Literally nobody likes you. When was the last time someone talked about you? Maybe when you hit 30 years old people start talking about you. Trash! Trash can. You fizzled out when God of War beat you at the Game Awards. You're not good at anything. Anyway, I've always been fascinated by nostalgia. Everyone thinks of something when asked about nostalgia games, and it made me think, what makes a game nostalgic? I think nostalgia in video games can be sorted into 3 categories. Games that you played in your childhood and barely even noticed, games that you loved in your childhood and have great memories of, and games that are new but remind you of your childhood. Let's get into it. The first stage of nostalgia is an early stage, remembering old, almost everyday games that you take for granted and playing them. It's probably the most basic form of nostalgia, as all you need is an old game that you played, and 10 years to forget about it. Nobody played Snail Bob in 2012 and said, "Wow, I'm gonna look back on this in 2020 with fond memories." Yeah, here we are. What usually happens is, you're blasting away on drums being an absolute boss, and you'll be sitting there, then all of a sudden, yo, remember Happy Wheels? So you'll bot next door to your PC, load up Total Jerkface, and then realize that the site has been deleted. What's going on? Did you delete Flash, Mum? Then you'll remember you have to activate Flash, so you refresh the site and... Then your mum comes into your room and beats you because you woke her up at 3 in the morning. How on earth did I manage to get so sidetracked? Anyway, Type A nostalgia can be literally anything because it doesn't rely on how well it's designed or how enjoyable it is, it relies on the imprint it leaves on your brain. It dives into your brain and yanks out memories that you'd long since forgotten about. As an example, let me play a video to you.
Yes! Oh my god!
Now, let me ask you, how did you feel when watching that? Did you say, I felt nothing because I was listening to that before I watched this? No! Because that song has been banished, exiled, deceased. It's been put in a corner of the back of your mind where it's been left to rot, until now. Because I just exposed your tiny brain to the world of nostalgia. If we're gonna go really in depth, the reason that song became so popular is because it banked on even more nostalgia. We're now back in 2008, and your PC is about to explode because the dial-up running this video cannot handle Sony Vegas.
No!
Nostalgia has no quality filter. If something can hit a nerve or memory and trigger it, there's no stopping the bias it will ensue. I could bring up anything from the past and give you Nam flashbacks about it. Remember when Moshi Monsters released the video for Let's Do the Moshi Dance by Lady Gugu? Remember the time that Zack Scott Games played Plants vs Zombies for the first time? Remember when Lynx came out with their final deodorant in 2012 because everyone thought the world was gonna end? On a real though, why did Lynx do this, bro? What on earth were they think? I just remember thinking Lynx was like going out of business or something, and I remember asking my dad, "Is Lynx shutting down or something, Dad?" My point is, it doesn't matter how good a game looks or plays. Nobody's looking at potty racers and saying, "Wow, this is top tier entertainment." Case in point. Flash games came from a very niche corner of the internet where there was no TF2 or CSGO, there was only Miniclip. Flash games relied on the crappiness of the netbooks you were given in school to make you search up Minecraft Unblocked for the third time that day. Flash games are probably the only thing that still holds up from a time period in which Leroy Jenkins was still being said unironically.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
They've been around since the dawn of time, but properly came into the limelight when Happy Wheels took off on YouTube. Flash games have stayed in the mainframe for kids born in the 2000s. I was literally at a JPEG Mafia concert the other night. And before it started, I was thinking about how great Raft Wars is. I feel like I was affected so much by Flash games, and I think younger generations just can't relate to that now. Flash games kind of fizzled out in the end because of games on your phone, but they've never been quite as exciting as Flash games were. How do people find this exciting? I mean, come on. Back in the day, we had Nitrome, Miniclip, we had that Winnie the Pooh baseball game that I could never beat. Screw you, Christopher Robin! Ah! We even had games like Toss the Turtle. You know, come to think of it, I actually see why people play apps. Woof. Okay lads, here's the big one. This type of nostalgia is a lot more specific and personal to each person. It's pretty much a more fleshed out version of Type 1, because the game actually needs to be good for you to become this attached to it. A task a lot of Flash games haven't quite managed yet. They're actually pretty similar. They both use the same method of becoming attached to you, but on the flip side of Flash games, these games have never left your head. You've become too emotionally attached to these games for them to be stored at the back of your head. I have a lot stronger of a feeling playing something like Mario and Sonic at the Olympics than I do playing something like Burrito Bison. This is where games you played in your childhood really come into play. Of course everyone played Flash games, so it makes an experience for everyone, but not every childhood game is the same as everyone else. A game has to really affect you and impact you to make it stick like this. I mean, if you ask me when the first time I played Garden Warfare was, I'd be able to tell you. It's just so hard for me to explain what this is like to you, so I'm just going to show you some examples to help you understand what I mean. I discovered Super Mario Galaxy at the perfect time as a child. My early childhood was devoted to my DS. But the time I picked up my Wii was when I was consciously starting to get really into games. Super Mario Galaxy is one of my favourite games of all time. It's such a raw, fun experience. As with all Mario games, there's no messing around before you get into the levels. On the contrary to most other Mario games though, there's a key thing pulling the levels together: space. Mario Galaxy deals with how vast space is in a way that only Nintendo can. Of course space is vast, Galaxy doesn't shy away from that fact, but it hands it to you through exploration instead of through hopelessness. It hands you it in small details while it throws you between tiny planets and vast galaxies. The levels are quick to the point, and in classic Nintendo style, they aren't GTA levels of long. They're fun-sized, perfect length little pieces that means you can pop the game in and play a level anytime. I recently re-bought a Wii to play some games from the past, and playing this game again was just as big as a blast as it was the first time I played it. The graphics, although slightly held back by the Wii's hardware, still hold up to this day. The controls are amazing, controlling Mario still feels smooth and accurate. The level design is still very good, flying from planet to planet still gives me a sense of exploration, even though it's designed so linearly. And oh my god man, the music! God, I love this game. So many mornings where I would wake up at 7 o'clock, go downstairs, boot up the Wii and play this until I was kicked off the TV by my parents. I played these levels over and over and over again until I could remember every single segment. I really like this game, man. I feel like I'm gonna get emotional about how I feel about this game. Everything about it is just Stop! Spare me from your pitiful emotions. We've reached the middle of the video. Thank you all for sticking around to the middle of the video. Got a couple more things to talk about coming up, so stick around to the end, boys. Also, please subscribe. The road to 100 subs has been going strong so far, and 53% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. So please do so if you haven't already. Wait, if this is halfway through the video, then that means it's still gonna take me a few more months to edit this video. Alright, I'm not gonna touch on Minecraft for too long since I've already covered it on the channel before, but I know that this game has a place in a lot of people's hearts. I don't actually have that much nostalgia for the game, I've realized. I think it's because I played it so regularly that I didn't really give it enough time for it to become nostalgic. I do though understand that a lot of people didn't play as much as me during the fabled 2015 to 2019 cringe area of Minecraft, so I'm bringing it up nonetheless. Minecraft is generally regarded as one of the greatest games of all time by many people, surpassing many to become the highest selling game in the world. Minecraft has had sort of a revival phase recently. The game has seen a major influx in both new and veteran players coming back to the game. It's reached a kind of climax where it's swung back around to being popular again. The game still gets frequently updated, with a huge nether update scheduled for summer this year. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it that hasn't already been said. Great game, great time for all, great memories, next. As the new game came out recently, I thought it would be fitting to talk about one of, if not my favourite games of all time. Whilst everyone has been cooped up inside their own houses, I've been playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. This game made me feel some stuff I haven't felt in a long time. Aside from the feeling of playing a great game, this game made me think of something else. Animal Crossing New Leaf. This game was a landmark game in my childhood. Just something about it is so relaxing and enticing to me. I'm cursed with the classic thing of, I can't explain what you do in Animal Crossing without making it sound dumb, disease. Let me try and explain it to you. Basically, you fish and catch bugs and stuff to try and pay off your house loan and build things and stuff. It's really fun and I think you should play it. I've pretty much given up on trying to explain what the game is like to people, so I'll quietly enjoy it over here. In the corner. On my 3DS. In the dark. I've been waiting 7 years for the new Animal Crossing. And it's here! And it's amazing, and I love it. As of recording this, I already have 30 hours on the game. Charlie and I have been playing it since we got it, and it's been great. All cozy, catching fish and bugs, all day, every day. All day, every day.
Right, excellent. All day, every day. All day, every day.
The game just means a lot to me. And loading this one up before playing New Horizons was a treat. I have discovered something about this type of nostalgia though. It can lead to some serious bias. There's this phenomenon where, funnily enough, if someone cares about something, they will go to extreme lengths to try and get people to also care about what they like. What I'm talking about can be explained through this analogy. Have you ever been dying at a new video you found? Say a new Afraid End episode, for instance? And you go to show it to your friend, and you say something like, yo, check this out. You pop it on and...
whoever loses has to eat.
Your friend is immediately disappointed at how unfunny the video is. But to you, it's the funniest thing of all time. This works pretty much the same for games. Just because Animal Crossing is one of my personal favorites, doesn't mean everyone is going to enjoy it. I understand that, but a lot of people don't. So, when you hear someone talking about Shadow the Hedgehog like it's the second coming of Jesus, always take it with a teensy tiny grain of salt. The final type of memory attack known as nostalgia is games that either reference back to older games, or give you a feeling of euphoria and depression that you haven't felt since you scraped your knee in the playground and burst into tears. Like that scene in Ratatouille, where the critic has a flashback to eating his mum's ratatouille. Obviously it's not the same meal, but it reminds him of it. And that's what I'm talking about here. This is a classic Nintendo style of doing things. Adding things to their new releases which give you panic attacks when you see them. Yes, we know Nintendo, we know you made Super Mario Bros. And people played it. Now will you please stop ramming it down our throats in every game I play? But a lot of other games love to sway you into giving them a higher rating on Metacritic just because they reference Hannah Montana for the DS. This can range from art style to music to just straight up references, in all its unoriginal glory. There have been huge strides in art styles in the indie community since pretty much the birth of video games. And although lots of indie devs try radically different things, the games that keep it to a form the consumer is used to generally succeed the most. Games such as Shovel Knight give us classic 8-bit style gameplay, which evokes a feeling of wanting to explore its vast world, but also a feeling of familiarity to many older players. It's weird because I never grew up with anything like this. I grew up playing the Wii and the DS, so my brain was never really exposed to retro gaming at a young age. But I still have a sense of familiarity when playing this, even though I never grew up with it. Yacht Club Games did a great job of understanding what would make the players tick, and it's paid off in this game. Of course, I couldn't talk about classic art styles without mentioning Cuphead. Cuphead is a run-and-gun slash bullet hell with an art style based on 1950s animation. Everything in this game is hand-drawn, which is a monumental achievement for any game, let alone a game by a tiny development team like Studio MDHR. The game also features classic big band music that makes every fight feel unique and interesting enough to warrant a second visit playing this game again on expert difficulty. Obviously there aren't going to be many people who feel nostalgic to this art style. Maybe your gamer grandparents can, who knows, I'm not judging. But it's amazing that Studio MDHR got the game to look this amazing, and should be praised accordingly. I touched on music in the last rendering with Cuphead's soundtrack, but I want to talk about it differently here. I'm talking about when games use classic music in either new ways or straight up the exact same composition which was made 30 odd years ago. Games either do this through the course of the game or across entire franchises. Undertale is a prime example of reused music to resonate with the player. Take Flowey's theme for instance. This first plays when you encounter him at the start of the ruins, and what at first seems like a harmless tutorial flower soon turns into a horrible abomination whose only motive is to kill. You meet Flowey, or rather, Flowey meets you a few more times over the course of the game. This all builds up to you fighting Asgore, and right when you spare him and expect the credits to roll, oh, now I see what you wanted me to do, game. You wanted me to be shocked by Flowey doing that. Well, I was prepared. I'm gonna kick this stupid little Flowey photosynthesis at. Oh my god, I take it back, this is horrifying, make it stop please! This is Omega Flowey, a Photoshop abomination that has the power of the human souls. Those of you who have played Undertale will understand how much of a shock this is to the player. And... wait, what's that sound? So you're telling me that they're gonna use the same song from the beginning of the game now? This game's horrifying! Undertale does this a lot. Its fight theme is the same as the dog theme, and the dog theme is the same as the Temmie theme. It all adds up, and that's what makes the game's soundtrack such a treat to listen to. Another franchise that does a similar thing to this is The Legend of Zelda. The same songs of Chest's opening, and the Ranch theme, are still being used in Zelda games to this day. And although Breath of the Wild subbed out a lot of the music to further fit the tone of the game, I don't think these songs will ever be changed. They're so classic, and a change would feel out of place to many. Some people may be tired of Nintendo reusing the old songs instead of making new ones, but personally, I welcome the familiarity. Basically, this is what Nintendo does. I've already mentioned about Super Mario Bros, but a lot of Nintendo's IPs have been doing this recently. Most notably Super Mario Odyssey. After completing the game, your ship arrives on a far-off land called the Mushroom Kingdom. Crazy, I know. This section of the game is dedicated to Super Mario 64, even including a costume that turns you into an N64 Mario, in all his polygonal glory. It's a beautiful tribute to a lot of people's favourite game, and although I had to deal with the DS's version's less than ideal controls, I was still hit with waves of feels from this kingdom. In comparison, The Legend of Zelda also gives heaps of nostalgia to players. The 3DS title A Link Between Worlds is a sequel to A Link to the Past. It gave a lot of fan service to veteran players and it created a unique yet familiar environment for players to explore. Debates still go on to this day on which one is a better game, which goes to show how well the old concepts have been modernized. In conclusion, nostalgia is a powerful tool for game designers to take into consideration when aiming to make games stick with the players. Or you could just be Nintendo and re-release all the same games instead of making new ones, you know, that works too. Thank you everyone for watching. This video was a lot of fun to make and I'm really proud of how it turned out. This video took a very long time to make. The script was almost 3,500 words long. And I can see from notes on my phone that this video was started on the 3rd of March. So please subscribe if you like my content, because these videos take a very long time to make. Hopefully I'll see you all soon.